Hello, hello, good night. Welcome back to the Odyssey podcast, of course, with your girl Word. Yes, I am back in the building. I hope everybody's enjoying their evening. I just wanted to come in right before I head out to work because I definitely wanted to touch some bases that I told you guys we would discuss when I do come back. I'm actually going to try to close it out. So just give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Give me one moment. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Like I was saying, I told you guys I will come back. And we would have been doing of what took place with Nature Boy and just his whole psyche process. I actually just want to jump in and kind of close it off. For those of you who are aware of Nature Boy, which a lot of people should be at this point, just because he's been all over the place, all over the news. He's been talked about damn near on every social media platform. So, for those of you who may not be aware, you can definitely still find content of Nature Boy out here right now. I was actually trying to show a few clips, but for some reason my browser is acting up. I don't know if what's going on. It's raining, things ain't working out. You know how that goes. But I still said I'll still come on. I also had Puerto Rican 360 and Cane Man 2 TV that most likely will be joining me for, a discussion on what we thought in closing when it comes down to Nature Boy. So I'm going to just give a briefing. Give me 1 minute. Everybody wants to call me. Give me a second. Give me a second, guys. So sorry. So for some reason, every time I choose to touch this live button, it's like I either get a phone call, my children either want to talk to me. It's always something, but that's how life goes. Life be life. And welcome, 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 Carletta. Welcome. Thank you for pulling up in the building. So, like I was telling you guys before, that I definitely just wanted to end off the whole Nature Boy saga just because it's been an overwhelming process of everybody talking about Nature Boy and their opinions on who he was, the things that he did, the stuff that they had to watch these young people endure, how he was even able to conquer the minds of these young people the way that he did. For those of you who may not be familiar, I'll just give you a briefing. So if you want to tap in, Nature Boy, known as Eligio Bishop, um, started a cult, and it was first named melanation, and then it became carbonation. As time progressed, you seen him have multiple people come out and in of his cult. Um, Originally, his representation to the outside world was he was trying to teach people how to be able to live in nature, showing people the way to eat clean, showing people how to just live off the land by growing their foods and etc. Trying to explain how different medicines that we have been given, whether you go to the hospital and they give you a medicine, how sometimes it's just not beneficial versus you going the healthy route or changing your diet or whatever have you. So he definitely sold a perception which caught a lot of young people and it caught some older people also. And the funniest thing about Nature Boy is that everything he spoke about, in which he was preaching, in which he put on a mask for to make people believe that that's what he was actually pursuing, the well being of the people, this guy just that's how he basically was able to just pull in so many minds and manipulate so many young people into his cult. And like I said, he had multiple young people come in and out and etc. And now he's getting ready to serve a life sentence. He has requested an appeal. I will follow to find out if he does get an appeal, but I'm not sure if he will get an appeal based on all the things that he did. I mean, he literally put every single moment of abuse that he did to all those young people that was there on camera. And I know it was a point in time where a lot of people, even myself to a point, I think for me, for myself, speaking for myself, when I looked at certain clips of things that he would do to some of the young ladies, it was almost like it was definitely a trigger. And it was a trigger because you had a lot of people that were definitely promoting him to a heightened extent. And that's why I always said that I just didn't want to cover him while justice wasn't served in a sense because so much people by them tuning into him and listening to his ideology like they never heard it before. Things that you can actually research and read. You know, he's not the first one that has pulled this stunt. You know, we got all these people, Jim Jones, all these people that came about to pull these stunts. You know what I mean? To embrace people with the spirituality and living clean in nature, which is how we should be living. But it should not be used to be able to manipulate for a form of another plan. And his plan ultimately was to form a sex cult. I feel like he had a very deviant mind. The young people he came in contact with, I feel like a lot of them were in search to finding out who they were. Some of them were coming to him already broken and disparaged from whatever they've been through, trying to just get a better way of living and believing what he's showing them is real. And don't get it wrong, he literally gave them experiences by them traveling all around the world, but a part of that was them sacrificing themselves. Right. Shake him. Yes, Carletta. Let me tell you something. For me, the reason why I will speak about it now is because we still got to be aware that there are other nature boys out here. You know what I mean? And we always worry about just our girl children. No, our boy children are being affected also. And it's sad that it 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 has more like him that can actually capture the minds of your children to the point where your child can be so far gone in a belief and a perception that somebody puts in front of them that they don't even want to talk to you. They don't even want to deal with no part. They cut off all family, all friends. They want no connection. And for that to be able to be so easy for them to be able to disconnect the way they did, they already had came broken. You know what I mean? I feel like we definitely sometimes have to tap into the younger people. Understand our young people, they're not too young to go through depression and all these different type of mental issues and anguish through life, even if you may feel as a parent you gave them the best environment and the best home. You can never know what internally your child could be facing. With that being said, Puerto Rican 360, please come back to the building. I don't know what happened, but I know she will be right back. Yeah, thank you, Carletta. I just want to definitely, for me, for the most part, when I speak on certain topics, I want it to be relevant to what's happening now. You know what I mean? I definitely want it to be relevant to what's happening now for us to realize that it's so much going on. I'm not even going to tap too much into the P. Diddy situation, but look, perfect example. That's for P. Diddy's for another day and another time, but that will give you a perfect example of just so much things that have been occurring for a very long time. These people that's now being exposed is because they're in the public eye. But for those that's not in the public eye, it's still young women and young men that's out here under the same mind control that's suffering. And yes, yes, Carletta, it is very important. And I thank you so much for pulling up on me and really vibing out for just when I have certain of subscribers that come in and chat with me in my chat, I appreciate it so much because then I know it's like minded people out here that's willing to put forth the agenda to push that we keep our children safe, we keep our young people safe. Puerto Rican 360, what is going on? Please come back. And for me, I find it very important because I am a mother. You know, I don't want my children to be subjected to anything that is going to be harmful. But guess what? My reality is they will be. I just hope that they carry that strength of mindset to remain strong within themselves and what their beliefs are and what they wouldn't do and what they won't tolerate. With that being said, Puerto Rican 360, welcome to the building. Thank you for pulling up on me. We were just waiting for you to pull up. I was just giving them a briefing of just, Nature Boy, who he was as the cult leader. We got Carletta in the building. So, Carletta, thank you so much. I hope you subscribed and you'll be back again to hang out with us. I appreciate all my people coming through and showing love. So, Puerto Rican 360, how are you doing? How was your
Peace,
evening
peace.
going?
What's going on, everybody? My evening is good. It's kind of wet and cold outside tonight, but we on here. We're gonna close this nature boy, you know, chat out. We're not gonna linger, about him too much. He had enough. He has 6, 7 years of air time, so we gotta cut his shit.
Yep, and that's what I was basically telling them. Like, obviously he's so public in the things that he was doing, and he definitely had a lot of people that participated in helping in the things that he was doing. You know what I mean? So we're at the point where now justice is being served. We know that he's getting appeal. We don't know if he may get it. He may not be granted it, but who knows? But how do you feel overall now that it has come to an end? As just a person that has followed Nature Boy and have watched the young ladies and the young men that were there, those who left and those who came back, and those who just, what I mean, came in for one day and was like, this ain't for me, and was shipped out the same day. I'm gonna mute up and let you give your input on how your feeling is towards it. And Puerto Rican 360, Carletta said, yes, I will. Hey, Puerto Rican 360, Carletta just said.
Hey, Carletta, how are you? Good evening. Thanks for pulling up. Well, basically, we covered in the first two parts, like how we started watching him, how my husband actually knows him, in real time, back in the 90s era out here in New York and stuff like that. And how I felt that I needed to do something to try to bring awareness to, this cult along with other viewers, because there was other viewers, there were other content creators that were really heavily invested in, taking this man down. And shout outs to those that did what they did. the work that they put in, you know, to me, as a viewer, as somebody just watching, they were very, very helpful to me, be instrumental as well as, making reports, contacting the Mexican consulate, um, and things of that nature. They were very, very instrumental. Now, when he first got arrested in April of 2021, right?
For
Before April 21, April 2021,
2019, what come off of that? Like the
in
Nicaragua?
Atlanta.
Oh, like 2022.
Okay, 2022. So when he got finally arrested in Atlanta, I was like, finally, something has happened, with this guy. Because before, this is what the problem was, that because all these members, these women and these men were under such heavy mind control, they were not, you know, saying what they needed to say in order to take him down or hold him accountable for his actions. You know, um, just because we were viewing and we were the ones watching didn't mean that we could make, you know, the way difference right there. It was the victims that had to speak up to give that initial push. So then now everything could be exposed. So he got arrested. I was really, happy about that. Then um I was interested in knowing who out of the members or out of the content creators or viewers were going to, help this trial get started. So the T was very instrumental. Shout out to the T. She was also all her videos were awesome. Even, like I said, as a viewer. Um, and I was very happy that a lot of the main members that went through a lot of mental anguish under his keep, testified. Like Aaron Dixon, for one, I watched him do a lot of bad things to that young man. I was really happy that Kendra came forward as well, because he did a lot of really bad things to her as well. I watched, you know, all his horribleness day for day,
And
day for day.
And that's the thing about
And
it. Welcome, First Lady presents Auntie's House. But like you was just saying, Puerto Rican 360, you watched him do horrible things. And as you know, you played an instrumental part because you also yourself went about trying to contact certain people for them to get assistance, I believe, when it was in Mexico, correct?
yeah, I called Mexico, and I also called Puerto Rico, um, because I have some connections with Puerto Rico, and he's not the only like cult or nature type of people that have moved to Puerto Rico. There are others on the island. However, they're not doing the things that he's doing. They're actually
Yeah.
just living natural and living with the earth and things of that nature. So,
And living off the
um,
land, correct. Correct.
right, living off the land. So I did contact somebody that I know that was connected with like political people and stuff like that in Puerto Rico. And I did find out the location that he was in and the town. And eventually he was also kicked out of Puerto Rico. On top of the fact that Velvet went to Puerto Rico and filed a restraining order and things of that nature on him while he was there in Puerto Rico. So, it was a combination of a lot of things. A lot of other people and viewers called the precinct and made complaints and things of that nature. It wasn't just me. I'm not taking credit for none of that. It was definitely a collective.
No, no, definitely. You definitely seen a collective
Definitely a
of
collective.
people that truly believed, yeah, that he should not have been on the internet. And Carletta, yes, he was a straight monster. And the thing about it is, even when you go back into just his story and the things that he may have endured, he definitely became, he, sorry about that, guys. He definitely became a predator versus somebody that would have went through something so traumatic and definitely tried to make a change out of it. Thank you, First Lady, for pulling up on me. Of course, I always appreciate it. And I just want to also tap in because, like I was saying right before you guys came in, the reason why this definitely needs the exposure that it needs now is because this person does not need to come back out unless he is fully reformed, which I think is very difficult because I do think he suffers with mental illness. I mean, even if he does not stay incarcerated, he needs to be in a hospital. He does not need to be let out back into the streets in order to collect more young people and also torment them. The saddest part for me, I think, is knowing that, like you said before, and like I said before, there are more nature boys out here, and some of them are doing it so discreetly. And at this point, for me personally, a lot of these, what they call cults, from my understanding, it's sex cults, you know what I mean? Um, what they took for polygamy and polygamous and what that dynamic means, I don't think a lot of people understand where that dynamic actually stemmed from and what it actually means to certain tribes in certain areas in the world. However, it shows us that we have to be very, 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 very cautious about what our younger children at a certain age is watching, because even when you look back at even some of the cartoons, it's just like, wow, now that you're an older person and you could actually have a sense of mind to be like, oh, that's what they were talking about. When you're young and you're small, you really don't understand it, but that's when you're the most impressionable. And these young people were definitely impressionable. And like I said before, I do feel like he captured their minds when they were at a point of maybe brokenness or just trying to figure out who they are on a spiritual level. Um, because when you listen to a lot of their testimony or you listen to them speak on their own separate channels, they all were in seek of spirituality. And the perception that he gave them is what they believed in, to the point where they were over captured, to where he was able to mentally start breaking them down by doing the smallest things, having them stand up for hours, depriving them of food until a certain time, depriving them on the amount of food, sleep deprivation, food deprivation, and then somebody consistently talking to you and repeating the same thing and being repetitive. Eventually, the mind starts to break down. I don't know
Yep.
what you guys feel, but my thoughts on him is definitely everything you said. Yes, Carletta, childhood trauma. And that's the thing. He had childhood trauma that he definitely wanted to put on others. He doesn't know what it feels to have a mother or a father, not biologically. So technically, he doesn't even know himself. You can go right ahead, Puerto Rican 360.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Child trauma, does play a big part in every human being. But there does come a time where you become an adult and you have to try to work through these traumas, because what happens is it holds you back from proceeding in life. You know, you can't hold people accountable or keep saying, "Oh, it's my mother's fault that I'm like this. It's my mother's fault." You have to let that shit go. You got to let those things go, or you got to work through those things, or you have to go get some help, seek some type of help so you can work through these things so then you can move forward in life and try to have, the best quality of life that you can. Um, but one thing I wanted to touch base on, with the members is that a lot of people say, "Oh, they deserved what they got. They was on with it. They listened to him. They did what he said to do, and this and that." All these negative comments towards the victims. First of all, if you've never been brainwashed before, or in a domestic violence situation or an abusive situation over time, then you cannot pass a negative judgment on that because you don't know what that feels like, or what that entails. Okay, the mind is a very strong muscle, but it's also a very weak muscle. Okay, and like Justice was saying, along with sleep deprivation and food deprivation, that can cause you some real serious A, health issues, B, mental issues. It can cause you to be delirious and not think straight. Okay, make rash decisions and all of the above. Okay. Second of all, to some degree, these members were scared of this man because he put his hands, physically put his hands on individually everyone at some point. Okay. On top of that, he humiliated all these members at some point in time individually. Okay. So these people endured a lot on top of the fact that they already were broken or had something going on at that moment and unfortunately reached out to the wrong individual. So you can't blame them because when everything hit the fan and it was time to talk and stand up for themselves, the ones that stood up for themselves, they did the right thing. They did the right thing for humanity. They did the right thing for themselves. Anybody else that's still following this man is going to be their demise because he ain't never getting out, y'all.
And the thing Yeah, and the thing about it too, just as tapping in off of what you just mentioned, those who are still there. There are, I believe it's four young ladies, if I'm not mistaken, that's still there. One just came home from being incarcerated for the attempt to smuggle in something into the Atlanta jail system. So she has recently came home, and so she went straight back. And then you also have the three others that has been there through the journey of the court case, making videos, etc. And I also just want you, with the reason why I'm definitely going to just bring them up is because definitely just try to keep them in your prayers. And the reason why I say that is because they are still in a lost place. They are still probably filled with being ashamed and embarrassed and just all types of feelings that probably me, you, or nobody else could imagine because of the things that they endured, especially mentally. Um, the last picture I seen of the four of them was all their heads was shaved off, and I guess that was trying to um, keep the sentiment of letting Eligio know that they're never leaving his side, that they will always be with them. But for me, when I look at them, it's like they're so far gone, except for maybe two of them, which for me is Malia the one that they call Malia, but her name is Tanisha, and the young lady that just came out of jail, um, by the name of Zoka, and I can't remember her actual birth name, but those two, slowly but surely, they're going to tap out of that spell, because, like, I feel like he did so much dark magic that I do feel like he cast certain spells on these people. And just how Aaron and Aaron's baby's mom, I forgot her name. I'm so sorry
Kendra.
about that. But you guys know right. Aaron and Kendra, they were able to break the spell. You know what I mean? Even Velvet was able to break that spell. You had the young lady that was the front and the face of this case. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That has the
Right.
child by
Like I was
Sola. Now,
like oh
go right ahead.
oh I'm sorry. Like I was like and now I was just adding on to what you were saying. Like when you are being abused, yes, it is some sort of a spell that you are under because the person, the abuser, breaks you down to the minor particle. People hear abuse and right away they think of black eyes and bruises. It's not only that. It's not only that. It's humiliating. It's the verbal abuse. You know, if a person calls you stupid every day at 3:30 in the afternoon, right? For 2 years, after a while, you're gonna fucking believe that you're fucking stupid. Okay, so that's what abuse is. It's a repetitiveness of horrible behavior towards a person. So until that person is weak, and then the abuser goes full throttle because he knows that he has or she has full control over everything that you do, no matter what. And you're right. A lot of them did break the spell, and Velvet broke the spell first because she knew after that fight that she had with Malia, aka Tanisha, on that beach in Puerto Rico, and they were in the water tumbling around, and the waves were going over them, that they could have drowned, been pulled out in the ocean. She knew from that day that if she did not go, she was going to end up dead. And that she
Yep,
said with her own mouth. And you, when you
and
are a
it's
person
true.
that is being abused, one day that light bulb goes off and you say, you know what? It's time to go.
Yep, and that's the thing about it too. You got those that are able to make it out by the skin of their teeth. And yes, Carletta, you are 100% right. They were all truly victims. And they were victims in the sense of them enduring what they endured and allowing themselves to have somebody claim or proclaim to be a higher power and then believe it. That's how they became victimized in the first place. And that's when truly victims, because he definitely knew and he definitely seemed like he picked poorly who he wanted and who he didn't want. And so it was almost like certain ones made the cut and certain ones didn't make the cut. And that's what he started with also, Carla, emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. But he took his time with it and he slid his way into it. He started by even making them feel a lot of times if they did something that they were the reasons that they did whatever they did because of their astrological sign. He had their minds so intertwined in so many different things that certain things that is normal to happen to them, they thought it was so magical and he was the truth and he said it was going to happen. That's how entrapped their minds was. And then once he captured them like that, slowly but surely, he entered in the mental abuse. Then he entered in the emotional abuse. Then he entered in the physical abuse. And then from there, it took over. But I don't even think he realized that he worked with so much dark energy that he started to become different entities
Well, that see
as
that
time
that's
progressed.
see now we're gonna touch on that right there. Okay, he does have a mental illness, and he has a personality disorder. So this is why he was all these different entities. Okay, when it was time to change up, he would switch up. Now he was somebody else. Now he has some other shit hanging from his head, or he had a headdress on, or he had a scarf on his head, or then he was a gangster when he moved to Atlanta. He had a hat on and a chain. Now now he's dressing all flashy. Then he was dressing all white. He was three god, walking barefoot and being all calm and speaking very zen like and this and that. Then he was, military sergeant going crazy, red zone, cold red, where's the machetes? All of that. That's all personality disorder. And every cult leader has a personality disorder because they are narcissists. You see how that all connects?
Yes, yes. And this is why you always want to dive into the psyche of it all, because when you dive into the psyche, then you are able to tap in to what will possibly make a person do certain things. Because believe it or not, at some point he knew within himself this shit was going to come to an end. He knew it. He just didn't know when. But like I said before, we definitely, for those of you who are not familiar and you want to tap in to find out more details on who this person is, he's very vile, he's very disrespectful, he's definitely a narcissist. He definitely does have multiple, um how will we say it, multiple personality disorder. He has multiple situations with himself, but it's so crazy because it's a saying back in the day, right, that the devil is in music. And so the way the devil used to capture the children was playing, what is it, the clarinet. He used to play the clarinet, or what was that? Are you guys familiar with what I'm talking about? But
The flute.
almost he will bring
It was the
joy
flute.
to the flute.
It was
He will
the
play
flute.
the flute and bring joy to the children's ears to lower them in. And
Hmm.
that has been a main component. And even when you look at some of your celebrities out here and listen to some of the music, we tend to get caught up in a beat because of the frequency. But when you take a time out just to hear the words, you really question certain things. You know what I mean? And so I do feel that Nature Boy also had that side with the musical part also.
Remember,
And he had
R.
certain ways, like,
R. Kelly.
go right ahead.
R. Kelly called himself the Proud Piper, the Pied Piper,
And
and
the
that
Pied
was
Piper was somebody who lowered kids.
that's right with the flute,
Hmm. And this is
right?
the thing. Now, back then, listening to his music as a young person, you're so caught up in the tune and the melody, and you're not even really penetrating like what the words that is actually coming out his mouth, because like it was a few songs that I can go back to that now when I go and listen to the words, I'm like, damn, that's what he was saying. Like, holy crap. Like, I would have never known that. But
That's
this is
why
why.
I can't. That's why I can't listen to his music anymore because of the fact that I loved his album so much. I know all the words and every song except for the ones that were covers, like Sadie. certain ones like that because they were covers. So he was using the original words. But all of his written material, it was always something to do with some sort of sexual innuendo or giving instructions on how to remove your clothing and do this and do that, or
And but
how he
this
was
is
going
the
to
thing.
do this and do that.
It has still remained to be a trend within music now. Even more now, music has even been more sexualized, even when it comes down to even the females. Like, okay, like for instance, I'm coming from the era of Queen Latifah. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming from the era of the Remy Ma's and the Little Kims, and that's like my era right there. Now, when you listen to some of the young ladies that's out here rapping, I mean, listen, I'm not here to knock your hustle. Get it how you get it. If that's how you feel, you want to represent yourself. I'm not here to judge nobody because I ain't nobody maker. You get what I'm saying? But for me personally, it's just certain songs that's out here right now that now the females automatically everything is sex. You know what I'm saying? Every single thing. So for me, like I said, when you look at the younger kids right now, like say if you have a younger child right now that's growing up within this era, you definitely want to be mindful of your choices on what you choose to tell them and what you want to tell them. And I think at this stage in the game, parents definitely at a certain age have to be real with their children. And the reason for that is because you leave them susceptible for somebody else to get in their head. And for me personally, even when you do that, which is your job to consistently do, yes, you will stand the chance of your child making mistakes, but they're going to make their mistakes. But at least they have that voice in back of their heads, like, oh yeah, you know, my mom. Because even me, it's certain situations I've been in, and it's like, damn, my mom. It just tapped in, like my mom told me something like about that, like, and it's just like a switch off. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like just talk to your children. I think that's the key thing. And just be aware to what your children are susceptible to. They're not only susceptible to gangs, you know what I mean? It's not only gang violence they're susceptible to, or even joining a gang or whatever have you. It's also these cults out here that's putting up a front on spiritual healing and spiritual guidance and showing you how to live one with yourself, and they have other agendas. So just always keep talking to your children, and you know what I'm saying? Even when you think they're not listening, still speak. Still put those words out there. And also pray. Pray for not only yours but others that's out here, because the ones that's even being born into this world, they're innocent. We all were innocent at one point being born into this sinful world. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, unfortunately for Eligio, he had a gift, but he didn't use his gift the way it was supposed to be used because he already had so much deviancy within his soul and within his mind and with all the different elements that he didn't have nobody to assist him with is why he is where he's at. And there's so much others that's like that. And let's keep it real when it comes down to just the community. When you say the black community, is now the black community is up on what mental health looks like. Before it was never no name for it. So we have a bunch of people that's struggling with different feelings going through this mental ill. And listen, it's different forms of mental illness that break people down. That's another thing. But we now are actually being able to put names on certain things. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to just your mental illness, your emotional feelings, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Now we have actual medical terminologies that they put together. Even if before, back in the day, people would try to figure out ways to go past that because all they knew was to push forward and go on. It still stemmed out to be the other generations that came behind me and others and even my kids, you know what I mean, stem to go through depression and mental illness and other things that just be aware. They're not only joining cults, but they're committing suicide at a heightened also. I'm just saying.
Well, I just wanted to conclude my little bit of info on this Nature Boy situation. In a nutshell, me watching and viewing him uh, gave me a perspective and an idea to write a memoir of my experience um, entering the internet world and giving you a play by play of what I experienced, what I watched, what were the things that transpired, all those type of things. Um, not only did I see Nature Boy do his cult, but I watched other content creators attack them each other and a lot of things. And so with that being said, the book is called Caught Up in the Net. It's coming soon. Working on it as we speak. Been working on it for a while now. So we'll be doing the last finishing touches and getting everything together. Um, when it's ready, all the way, we will definitely make the announcement here on the Odyssey podcast. And I hope you guys, purchase it and enjoy it. Um, and it'll definitely open up your eyes to how dangerous, how manipulative, um, how desensitized people are when using this social media tool. Um, there's a lot of mischievous things going on out here. There are also good things. There's people out there that put out good content, that do good things, that document, good things that they're doing. But this side, um, where Eligio was broadcasting his endeavors and his situation, there was some really ugly things going on. So that being said, I hope that all those members heal from all those traumas. I hope that they are successful in whatever they put their minds to. And if there's any young person out there or old person, whomever you might be, whatever age you might be, if you're feeling down or you're feeling like you need to speak to somebody, reach out. It could be to a stranger, it could be to a therapist, it could be to a family member, a friend, maybe a neighbor that you trust. But try to find that one person that you could at least sit down and just express your feelings to without no judgment before you go and make any rash decisions, like entering a cult or harming yourself or anything like that. Just reach out, you know?
Yes,
Don't
you
be
said that.
scared to reach out.
You said that so perfectly. Puerto Rican 360, Carletta said, congratulations. And yes, a big congratulations to Puerto Rican 360 because, like she said, she has definitely been working on this memoir for quite some time. And now it has come to a close, and she's getting ready to finish up the ending touches. So stay tuned for Caught Up in the Net. Stay tuned for Caught Up in the Net for real. In fact, you never know if we might even come out with a series, you know what I mean, where you could visually see. But I'm thinking far into the future, y'all. I'm thinking far into the future. But definitely, please, when she does release it, I appreciate you guys just always showing your support. And trust and believe me, you definitely won't be disappointed. I thank you guys for coming through and always showing me support, always diving into the commentary, always putting in your perspectives. You guys don't understand how much that is worth to me. So I want to just thank all of my subscribers so very much. I appreciate you guys. Even when you guys tap in and do the replay, know that I appreciate that always. I just would like for you guys to, if you have the moment, to if you tap into the replay or you happen to come in, just hit that up like button so it kind of keeps my commentary and my content in the algorithm. Carletta, I appreciate you so much. You seem to be such a pleasant joy. I will start to soon begin to slowly open up panels when I do certain topics, and I would love for you to come and put your insight in. You definitely, from just the conversation that we're having in the chat, I already know you have a lot of input and insight and jewels that you can drop on others, as well as myself, right? So this is the Odyssey podcast with your girl Word. I will definitely be back in the building. I wish I could stay a little bit longer and chat with you guys, but of course I gotta get ready to head out to work. Puerto Rican 360 is always a pleasure when you pull up in the building. Cane Tube TV, it is always a pleasure when you pull up in the building. I got First Lady presenting Auntie's house. First Lady
Yeah,
presenting Auntie. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you for pulling up in the building. Yes, Cane Tube TV, this is the first time we heard your voice for the night. So I am gonna close it off with leaving you with the last word, and then we'll be back. Okay, guys?
man. For the most part, I've been here listening, in the background doing some other things. But I'm glad that we closing out this chapter on Eligio Bishop, aka Nature Boy. It's long overdue, you know. Unfortunately, due to social media, he'll forever be etched in the minds of people for many years to come. But I hope that people take it as a learning lesson as opposed to some, entertainment fodder. Learn from this experience that you had watching him or, following uh his lives, his, social media interactions. Learn from this shit. Learn not what to do. Especially young people that's coming up that may think that's cool to maybe live that way and they don't really fully understand. They don't have no real forehand knowledge on it. Learn from this. And don't make the mistakes that he made and so many other cult leaders like him made. With that, I'm going to close it out. Peace.
So, from our family over here at the Odyssey Podcast to your family, wherever you may be in the world, we send peace, love, and light and manifestation and protection over all of your families from us, the Odyssey Podcast, to every single one of you guys out there. Stay prayed up, keep energy pure, and until next time, thank you guys. Peace.